right, hey, what's up, y'all? So I want to wish you the most amazing week ever and share with you some insights that we had from our meeting yesterday on the elimination diets talk that we had. It was awesome. We had a really good crew that showed up, some really good discussion points and feedback, and then also just share some updates that we've added to our Life As Is challenge. And if you're not familiar with that, we have a separate video that goes into detail about it. And also just some useful questions to ask yourself so that you can have a really awesome, solid week. All right, so yesterday we had our elimination diets and self-testing reintroduction diets meeting, and it was great. It was an hour of power. We had some really good discussions. The key points that I think would be useful for us, even without going through that entire meeting, is just understanding how important it is to always be experimenting. So, when you join us for our masterclass that we have at the beginning of every year, the goal of that masterclass is to get people to master real food for a lifetime, to give them the foundation that they need to master real food for a lifetime. And that whole foundation starts with understanding the importance of choosing things made with the right ingredients, eventually moving to the point to where you're a real foodie, and the majority of the food that you eat is 100% fresh real food that you prepare at home. Once you get to that level, everything changes. Like everything about your life gets better in a way that's very difficult to describe. Right? You have to experience it, but that was the biggest game changer for all of us, right? Within the context of real food, you always want to be experimenting with low carb phases, and then also going through periods of going without something. And so for most of us veterans, the reason that we're constantly seeing progress is because we're always experimenting and we're always without something, meaning that we're always void of something that we'd normally have, again, within the real food realm, so that we can see how it makes us feel being without it, and then also so we can see how it makes us feel when we reintroduce it. All right. Now, one thing that we talked about at this meeting was that every diet and methodology is basically an elimination diet. That's what elimination diets are. They eliminate something for the purposes of, either they think it's healthy to not have those different things that they're eliminating, or for the purposes of reintroducing and testing the body. So if you look at any diet is an elimination diet because by definition, it eliminates other things that are not a part of that methodology, right? So you're doing an elimination diet when you're participating in something no matter what. The reason that you would want to do an elimination diet is because you want to experiment to see what works for you, especially if you have like nagging symptoms, things that just won't resolve or change, or things that you feel like just aren't normal considering how healthy you think you are. And as a great example, we're sitting there talking yesterday, one of our members has beer periodically. Also has psoriasis that won't go away, and seen a lot of resolution and improvements in it from things that he's been doing on his own. But one of the things that we mentioned there is like, why not go without beer for a month? See how that improves things. And if that's the thing that you change, and then you notice your condition or symptom get better, then it's like, okay, I can pretty much make this connection that's what was contributing to this symptom or this issue, right? So another reason that we want to do an elimination diet is because we want to prove to ourselves that we can do without this thing. And so if there's anything that you have that is consistently in your diet or in your routine that you feel like you can't go without, it's probably going to be useful to go without it for some period of time, because then that means that you can have some freedom from that thing, and that thing is not ruling your life to any degree. There's some things that when I go without them, it's not something I enjoy. I love cream in my coffee, but I have to go through periods of not having cream in my coffee to see how it makes me feel, but also to prove to myself that I can do that. It doesn't mean it makes it any easier, but I still have to go through periods of being without it. Same thing with carbohydrates and fruit. Right now we're doing an animal-based progression, and my goal this week is to be 100% animal-based, and I love my fruit. I love my sweet stuff in the evening, but I've got to prove to myself that I can do it. I also want to see what it does to me. All right. But then also, if we're constantly in this mindset of constant experimenting and tinkering, it's going to keep things fresh and exciting, right? And then once you start to notice changes in your body, or things improve or get worse, it really starts to give you this sense of being in touch with your body. All right. So it's like going without something with an intention to pay attention to how it makes you feel, both in the process of being without it and in the process of reintroducing it. You start to develop this really honed intuition about what's good for your body. And I think that is absolutely invaluable, because as time goes on, you automatically start to pick up on things that are messing with you, all right, without even consciously trying to do that, right? So I guess the big piece of advice there would be that regardless of where you're at in your personal holistic health journey, in your nutrition or real food journey, start by doing an elimination diet by getting rid of all processed food. That would be your first step. Move towards trying to be a real foodie, which means 100% fresh real food, and eliminating the processed foods that are made with good ingredients, like Siete chips and the approved ice creams and things like that. And then within the context of that, just always choose something that you're going to be going without so that you can see how it makes you feel. We have some formal elimination diet protocols and self-testing protocols and some handouts. If you want those things, first of all, they're in our community at community.superhumantransformation.com, which is an awesome place. All our courses are there, but also just reach out to me, email me, send me a message and say, hey, I'd like to have those handouts. I'd like to start experimenting with this, and I will share it, no problem at all right? No strings attached. Another thing that we kind of had a realization about this week was this Life As Is thing that we pretty much do on a regular basis now. So this Life As Is challenge started out as an attempt to be more present with some of our daily activities and minimize like our numbing out and the things that we would kind of turn to end the day and have some distractions in what would otherwise be maybe some uncomfortable space, So for myself, I like to come home and have a drink in the evenings, put on some music, listen to some podcasts, listen to some music or watch TV or something sometimes. And I'm not saying that any of those things are necessarily wrong, but what's really interesting is having this intention to try to just be present with what is without anything extra. And that's what this Life As Is challenge is all about. And so one enhancement that we've made to this is really paying attention to your tendency to want to do something during dinner besides just sit there with the person that you're with or by yourself and have some conversation in space. And then also that period of time where it's between dinner and bedtime, getting in bed, or actually in bed as well, trying to fill that space with something, like just being at home, being in the place that you live with the person that you care about, and not having anything fill the space. And for us, it was specifically, when we get to bed, we're in bed. Before going to bed, we like to play this little game, and we like to compete against each other. It's like a little memory game, really fun, like a word game or something like that. And there's nothing wrong with it at all. It's great. I think it's really good for you, actually. But I had one evening where I set my phone down, and because I was not playing this game, my tendency was to get on Instagram and scroll. And I noticed my tendency to want to do that. And I was like, no, I'm going to try not to do that. And I set my phone down. And the urge to check my phone was so strong, it was ridiculous. But I sat there with my cup of tea, and then something just opened up. Like, it was beautiful. It was really nice. It reminded me of sitting and watching a sunrise or a sunset, or just being in the presence of twilight and just being there with it. Like, it was really beautiful. And so it was something that I want to add to the Life As Is challenge. So, and then the final thing that we had a realization about this week, and this was something that me and Colby had talked about, we should always be trying to improve in some way. And a really great way to do that is maybe on a weekly basis, ask yourself, what is something that I know that must change at some point? What is something that I'm consistently doing that I know is not serving me, that I probably don't want to give up, I probably don't even want to acknowledge it? What is that one thing that I know has to change, that I know I can't do forever? That I know if I do it forever, it's going to lead to something bad. And we talked about it. It was like it's something sometimes you don't want to acknowledge, but when you do and you start to plant that seed in your mind, it's going to change over time. All right, so maybe that's a really good question to ask yourself before embarking on this week. What is something that I know must change, that I know I can't do forever, that I know that I want to work on? And maybe not even having an intention to do anything about it right now, just acknowledging what that thing is. All right. And finally, would just love to invite you guys to our community. It's awesome. Our big purpose there is to bring together people who for most of their lives have been completely lost and confused when it comes to health. And now they're seeking clarity and confidence. So we clarify the confusion. All right. That's what we do in the SHT. And what we do in this community specifically is we learn health concepts, we put them into practice, and we support each other through the entire process because we know how important it is to have the support of other people. And we do this because we want to live our most amazing life possible and be healthy and happy, and we know that all of that starts with health, because when you find health, you find yourself. We have monthly themes. These monthly themes kind of guide our content, and so this month we're finishing up our flexible animal-based omnivore progression. The talks, by the way, are all available publicly, but we do charge a nominal fee to come to the seminars, but in the community it's completely free. Next month we'll be focusing on grounding, hiking, camping, and outdoors 101, and then next month we're going to flip the script and go into how to be a smart vegan. It's going to be really awesome. What we do within that month is we facilitate weekly seminars, and those weekly seminars are pretty awesome. Sometimes they'll be bi-weekly, once every 2 weeks, but some really great content there. And then within our community, we always have really engaging daily questions and polls that keep our members talking to each other and learning about each other and getting to know each other, and we think it's really, really great. All right, so again, big takeaways, learning points from the elimination diet: always be going without something, even if that first something is processed food, and just trying to move towards a real food methodology. All right, and then within that context, always be tinkering, always be experimenting. All right, also try to be as present as you can this week. Live life as is. Notice your tendency to want to numb out and distract yourself in periods of space. All right. And then also maybe think about joining our community, because it's freaking awesome. We love it. We really enjoy it. And we know we're doing some really beautiful, good things in there. And keep in mind, as always, you are only one decision away. One decision away from being better than you were before. You're one meal away from being right back on it. You're one workout away from being right back at it. You're one good night's sleep away from feeling amazing, and you're one meditation session away from being completely calm and centered and present. You're only one decision away from being better than you were before. And that is the absolute truth. All right, y'all make it a great week. Let us know if you have any comments, questions, or snide remarks later.